Today's session is about to get real. I got Scarlet in the house because we are about to talk about some juicy things that's been coming up. The topic is around vulnerability, from hiding to being seen by another. And so I'm going to be going into what it's been like to connect with someone and to start weaving my world so deeply with them, and the wounds that are coming up for me and how we're navigating that together. So it's really fun because I was able to get Scarlet to come here today, and we're going to play with some vision boards and things. But I want to talk a little bit about kind of the back end of what's been happening for Scarlet and I through connecting with each other, and how it's kind of unraveling itself. So how should we start talking about it?
I feel like you initiated it, so I think you start and then I'll share my story behind that.
Yeah. Okay. So for a while now, I've been praying for someone to come into my life that I can share my intimate world with. And, I generally am a very introverted, introspective person. So every day I get really excited for the time of day where I'm alone. And that's the time of day where I really feel seen and held by myself. And that's where I get to dive into books or thought processes, or just lay there and meditate and visualize my future and watch it weaving and getting those tracks inlaid. And I've been feeling like I really want to share that with someone. And, it's been a while where I'll start connecting with people. And then I just realized we're not really, like, the frequency just isn't there for us to truly, like, dive into each other and fully merge our worlds and co-create world together. And so when I first, I had no idea how my relationship with Scarlet was going to unfold. But I remember the first time I even heard someone talk about her, I immediately knew that I was going to meet them and that there was something that was supposed to happen between her and I. And then some time unfolded, and then the first day I was going to meet Scarlet was actually at the first opening party for Creekside Healing Village. She was coming and she was showing up with White Fox medicine to give for we were doing not a fundraiser, but an auction thing. And she showed up on the scene, created the whole thing, the table. It looked so beautiful. I was not expecting it. But I remember when I first saw her, she was walking down from the bathroom area. And I remember thinking just how much love I have for her. And I'm just going to blow past her walls right now and just show how much I love her. And, she can take it however she wants, but I'm going to give it to her right now. And so I just wrapped her up in a hug. And so for me, I feel like, I knew that there was a connection between us, and I didn't know how it was going to unfold, but I've been just kind of slowly waiting for her, because I know that she's similar to me, where she has a very deep inner world. And, from what I've witnessed is that it seems like it was taking her longer to open up because of that. And so I was just kind of sitting back whenever you're ready, I'm here. And yeah, but just recently has it truly unfolded and unraveled, but it feels like forever now.
Yeah, and then my side of the experience behind what Melinda just shared was I grew up extremely inward, and it seemed that whenever I interacted with other females as friends, I would be the one that was getting made fun of, or they would be like, oh, you're so weird, why are you wearing that? So I learned at a very young age to just play with myself and my animals and my plant friends, and I kind of would live in my own little world, and I was happy there. I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything. So that's been an internalized pattern for me, basically, until my mid-20s. I'd say Melinda's the only other woman I've met, other than one other woman in my 20s, that I've fully been able to let all my guards down and just say, here I am, let's play. And then not only that, but with Melinda, when she invites me to hang out, I'm actually yes. It doesn't feel like I have to create energy to want to do that. It's just I just flow towards her. And that's a really unique experience for me because I am so introverted. Just like what Melinda said, my alone time is my precious, juicy, I don't feel any stress anywhere on me, and I'm just creating a world time. But to have that same vibration in the same room with another person, it amplifies what I'm doing. And then this whole magical experience unfolds that I would never be able to create by myself. So Melinda was reaching out and she was sending me messages and wanting to interact. And I was feeling this, I was feeling my block to her. And I remember we got to this place where we were talking about co-creating a tincture, and she started sending me all these book references. And first I was overwhelmed, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why I'm rejecting this. And I just sat
and I
it.
felt the overwhelm too. I remember having like all these messages. I was like, maybe that's a little too much. And I was gonna send something else. I'm like, no, I'm just gonna hang back. You know, it's the energy is very similar when you're falling in love with someone, and how you're kind of sussing them out, and like, well, how far can I push you? Like, where are we with this? And then the wounds that can come up with that too.
Yeah.
So I was watching myself and like, okay, there's something going on where maybe that's too much, so I'm just gonna hang back and let her assimilate and let her reach out whenever.
Yeah, and that was exactly what happened. I spent that night sitting. I did like a half-hour meditation, and I just sat with what I was feeling, and I was like, okay, I want to fully experience what's coming up right now so I can dissolve it, because it wasn't something of flow, it wasn't something of love, it was something of protection. And so I was like, what's the message here? And as soon as I realized that Melinda was exactly the same as I was, like, when I feel that connection to something or someone or a project, I'm 200 billion% in, and I will come in like a hurricane and be like, here it is, let me fucking curate this. And it's intense for some people, and I've had a lot of that feedback in my life of like, oh, you're really intense, and I'm like, I'm also very sure, and I want this to be amazing for everyone. And so when all of my energy is present, sometimes other people pick that up as that's intense. And so as soon as I had that realization that she was mirroring me, I was just like, I basically just felt like I opened up like a flower. And then the energy that she had been sharing to me, it felt like a nurturing salve, and it felt like a medicinal offering. I was like, whoa, like I'm being met. This is what it feels like to be vibrationally met. And I was so blind to it because I had never truly seen it, and I had never truly experienced it yet. And so I didn't know what it looked like or felt like. And then once that guard was down, we both just kind of like fully opened up, and we've been co-creating. And
it feels like there's 20 different things we're creating right now.
Yeah, it's true.
It's really interesting. It's like there's a whole universe between us, and I feel like we're from different galaxies, which is also interesting. I don't know where we have met in the universal scheme of things, but it feels like we've already created so many paradigms and programs and things, and so it's like we're just trying to figure out which ones right now to go into. But yeah, so because when you were talking about the tincture, I was like, right, we have that going on as well. So we've got like 3 different programs, like I don't know, anyway,
it's beautiful.
Yeah, there's a lot of things unfolding, and it's really interesting. So the theory of relativity, right, with Einstein, where a few days ago I realized, it's only been like a week or 2 that we've really been connecting, and it literally feels like a year or 2, 3 years.
Yeah,
it feels like a long time.
Yeah. And the true power of love. Melinda broke her foot on a Sunday, and I found out about it on a Monday. And as soon as I found out about it, I was like, I can help. Like, I know I can help you. And that, for me to have that kind of love for someone, it means I'm going to push through what I'm afraid to offer and offer it anyway, because it's for their highest good. And I haven't been offering my matrix energetic sessions to people because I've been focusing on White Fox, and there's a large vulnerability curve with those sessions. I have to completely be 100% confident in everything I'm seeing and just share it without a filter. And a lot of what I see and feel and hear, it's pretty out there. So to report that to someone, it's like, I could be putting myself on a pedestal to be really made fun of here. But having an opportunity to offer that to her in her situation, it cracked me open. And then this like Niagara Falls amount of light energy that I was kind of shoving down and not really offering to the world started pouring through me, and it like my world did a 180. It's like, no, this is my special power. I have this. It's to be offered to people, and I'm no longer going to hide it. So our worlds is not only like inspiring me on a heart level, but it's leveling me up on what I offer you guys.
Yeah, I think that was really when we solidified, I think, is that day, because I got to witness you in that state. And yeah, something about that, I think, really connected us deeper into each other's worlds of that safekeeping. Like, we're holding each other now, like we've got each other. And so something that was coming up for me this week was, you know, a lot of my life, I have a lot of wounds around women, connecting with women. And, you know, yeah, it's funny. Like, I'm already being careful with what I say on here, because I'm afraid of who will see this, and I don't want them to get hurt. Right. But I've got a lot of women wounds, mother wounds, and sister wounds and things. So, you know, in my life, generally women will leave, like, just for whatever reason, whether I'm just too different for them and they can't hang. You know, my family, I was definitely the black sheep, where at 5 years old, I knew I was a soul in a body, and I knew that, wow, like, love is really the way, and treating each other like beautiful people is the way. And I remember truly being the black sheep in my family around that. And so I had to hide myself at some point. I mean, there's several times in my life I thought I was going crazy, and I had to truly just dumb down all of my abilities of being able to feel people and intuit what they're thinking and needing and things like that. And, you know, and then the girlfriends that I've only had a few in my life where we've totally swirled into each other like this. And all of them, just for whatever reason, like, randomly would just bail out. And so as this has been coming up with Scarlet, for me, I've just been taking it as, okay, well, this is really nice for however long it lasts. And so I'll just, you know, appreciate it for what it is, rather than fully allowing my heart to embrace and trust. And so I wrote Scarlet the other night about that, and just about, like, you know, this is what's coming up for me, is that I really love this. And I'm also, you know, just in the place where I feel like it's going to not be here very long, you know. And it was just, what was beautiful about it is when you can open up about your vulnerabilities, right? Then the other person has the chance to meet you and hold you in that space. And so Scarlett was so beautiful, and expressed, like, hey, like, I've got you, I'm not going anywhere. And I remember even when you said that to me, I even then I was like, oh, that's really nice. But, you know, like, still this aspect of distrust.
Yeah. And I felt very humbled that Melinda was sharing those depths of her pain with me, because whenever someone shows those aspects of vulnerability, I want to mirror a safe place for them, because it's not really just about my relationship with Melinda right now, but it's about everyone in the world having a safe place to come to with their vulnerability, and then having that other person receive it with an open heart and then witness. And I have consciously cultivated myself to feel this amount of strength to hold that space for people. And I've been working on that a lot with my partner. A lot of what we go through, we're soulmate vibes, so it's also big medicine vibes. And I knew very early on that I have the strength to be able to hold the mirror for him to heal some of these really deep woundings. And through that practice of me being this mirror, I became really confident that it doesn't matter what someone's experiencing or what they're coming in with. I can sit here in a really solid way and say, I can be your medicine by holding up a mirror of, you know, what you can heal. And I'm not going anywhere until the pattern has dissolved for you. And that's my devotion to Melinda and our friendship, of course, because I love her and I want her to feel safe and happy and nurtured. I also know that that one act between us two is going to ripple out into everyone else's lives and have a very substantial healing on all of you too. And so when we start tapping into the selfless serviceness of our soul, which is the light worker and the starseed, it is why we're here. My greatest sense of fulfillment is holding space for someone else to heal. And it doesn't matter how long it takes, and it doesn't matter what it looks like. but just in that interaction, I am being filled with the most love, humble, gratitude, joy, and that's heaven on earth for me. So Melinda has given me this amazing opportunity to show up. And for me, it's a multi-layered experience of showing up.
Mm. You know, what's coming up for me is how similar it is, whether it's intimacy with a lover or with someone that you're getting close with, you can have the same triggers come up if you're willing to open yourself up, right? You know, and I feel like for so long I've just been kind of closed off to even like sharing my world with anyone, just because most people, they just don't show up either when you need them the most, or, you know, for whatever reason they can't meet you. And so I remember the reason why I got triggered, or I even started feeling those feelings of like, oh, like she's like going away or whatever, is it was something like, because we generally are talking all day, like we just are shooting different worlds with each other of different books we're reading or different downloads we're having or different project ideas that we're working on. It's just like we're just tapped in. And then at some point I felt her disconnect, and there was like a few hours of not communicating. Mm-hmm. And I remember having those triggers come up of like, oh, like as if it was a lover, right? Like, oh, like maybe I was too much, or, you know, maybe I should back off, or whatever. And then me really witnessing like, wow, how beautiful of an experience it is for me to be able to go through these wounds with someone that I know is meeting me and that I can be really open with. Whereas someone that you're like dating, I don't know, for some reason you put on all of these masks, right? You don't actually want to show those parts of yourself, because then that would be too vulnerable, and then they would think you're weak, and then they would have the upper hand in the relationship, right? And then this whole dynamic will just continue. And so how wonderful it is to just like be able to witness those things, and how this can maybe help others in any relationship that you're in, even a relationship with a lover, how powerful it is when you show up. Because actually, when you're the one that's putting yourself as the vulnerable one and the one that's truly showing yourself without the masks, you actually set the platform of the relationship to be one of authenticity and realness, and not just skating through this life with these, you know, masks on that like, oh yeah, like we're so close, we're so friends, you know, or whatever, but actually being really real with what you're doing in this life with the people that you have around you, and to be really real with them about what's coming up for you.
Yeah. And I would say I experienced the same triggers too. Like definitely, it'll come up in a flash, and it'll be like resonance of abandonment, and I'll just kind of sit with it and be like, obviously Melinda hasn't abandoned me. And because
can you give a specific example?
Yeah. So it'll be something like, when I send you a text and there's no response for a couple hours, and I know she's in session with clients, and I know it's the middle of the day, and she's got 2 children. So it'll like kind of reverberate up into me.
So good to know that you've experienced it.
I do too. I totally do too. I think I've just been so schooled at feeling it, and then holding space for trust, because my partnership has schooled me for the past year and a half of living in a constant state of faith and trust. And we're rebuilding and healing a lot of deep things together. So I have had to position myself to just stand in faith. And I would say the first 8 months were hell, and was just swirling in these feelings of abandonment and triggers. And now what's happened over time with me sitting with that energy is there's space for it all to coexist. So the abandonment feeling can come up, I can feel it, but there's also the space of we are connected. I do feel her. I do feel her love. So it's almost like the palette of what I can hold within myself is expanding. And as a starseed or a light worker, or however you identify yourself, at least what I'm finding within my own growth process is the more I can hold space for any experiences to come forward without judgment, but really just feeling them and giving them an opportunity to be seen. Like when that feeling comes up, I've had so many conversations with abandonment, and I'm like, oh, here you are. You're totally an old friend. Thank you for coming. You know, I'm not going to ignore you. I'm not going to say I don't feel you. You're going to be a part of this experience. And I have a lot of emails to get back to, and I have this other thing I'm doing. So let me take a minute and be with you. And then I'm going to put you on a shelf. and I'm going to coexist in this other world. So I don't have this sense that abandonment is ever going to go away from me. I'm not working on myself so that I eliminate certain sensations or feelings. I'm working on myself so that I have the space to encompass everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I really love what you're saying around like allowing yourself to really hold that child self, right? And there's a lot of, you know, stuff with psychology of how they really want us to do that, right? Sit with yourself and hold yourself and be present with that. And it reminds me of the next point that we wanted to bring up of the difference between when we were getting close to people when we were children versus now. So like, you know, a child growing up with girlfriends, I was just like, yeah, you just dove into it with them and you just became best friends and you just became that. It just, whatever it was, you just did it without expectations or worry or concern. And so I was looking at like, what is the difference from me connecting with my girlfriends then? And always, there was always issues of like me having a super deep best friend and then her moving or me moving or whatever it is. It's like, it always would end, you know, in pain. And so, so what is the difference now, right? And I think we become really wounded, right? And we're worried about that feeling of abandonment and, right, of how much time and energy that's going to take from us to go through that process. And for me, definitely recently, it's been, I guess, just showing someone my world, giving the energy to someone that I would rather just have for myself, where I know it's safe and juicy, and them just not show up, you know, or whatever, or them not to have had the same experience I did of like, wow, that was really connecting, or that was really whatever.
Yeah.
And I just haven't had anyone that even is willing to go past, you know, the superficial layers of relating anyways.
I haven't either. I mean, there's been so many people that'll reach out and act like they want to be my friend. And for me, I'm like, you know, I have a 2-story wall you have to scale. And if you don't scale that, then I'm not going to show you all of this, because I really do need to see that if I'm going to gift you my energy and I'm going to gift you my attention, you're going to be all in. And the only people that are going to make it over are all in already. And over the course of the past, you know, 20 years of my adulthood, there's been 2 people that have scaled the wall, you know, Melinda and my friend Leticia back in my 20s. So it's been an interesting experience, and I don't see that wall as a barrier to entry or something. I see it as discernment, and I see it as a practice of respecting my time and my own energy, and then also having a clear intention of who do I want to interact with? What do I want my world to look like? Because a lot of my experience in my 20s was going to bars, trying to drink, and trying to fit into this culture that had no resonance with me. Like, I was just looking around and I'm like, where are my people? Where are the people that want to go into the woods and just play with rocks and not talk with me for 2 hours? Like, that's what I want to do with a friend. And like, I'm like, everyone else just wants to sit and get wasted and like talk my ear off. And I want to have this other spaciousness within my relating. Yeah.
I didn't know that you wanted to do that too. It's totally like if someone could just sit like and not talk with me, to me that's like the best thing ever.
I think that's why Sam and I are so amazing, because like one of our first dates, he took me to go look for crystals, and we were on a fairy journey. We weren't talking much, and we were just like maybe 3rd or 4th date. And you think that when you're in that space, you have to talk and fill in the gaps to feel comfortable. And we were both just like listening to the birds and hearing the leaves crack under our feet and just being totally enamored by nature. And that was so fulfilling to be able to share that enamorment with another being, that's like the food for my soul.
So, you know, I hope that this topic helps to resonate with you, the pieces of yourself that you withhold from relationships, and also for you to get really clear on the relationship that you're wanting for your soul food, you know. And that doesn't have to be whatever your gender is for a lover. That doesn't have to come from a lover, right? Like, we can get our needs met from different people in our lives that fulfill different pieces, but to get really clear about what you're looking for from this person to come into your life and step up, and for you to also be really willing and ready to work on these pieces of yourself that have wounds. and how to hold them with someone, how to hold them with yourself first, right? This wouldn't work if like I put all my shit on her, expecting her to then like heal my wounds or something. It's really about me looking at them, being strong enough in myself to share it with someone else and share it with the world on here now.
Yeah.
and in hopes that this creates a more strong dynamic and helps others. So that's what we're hoping for this to do. And with that said, so we've got several platforms that we're trying to do to just anchor in our tribe and anchor in the people who have started to dabble in spirituality and are really wanting to burst open and not hide anymore. The weirdness inside of them, the light inside of them, the uniqueness that is their truth and their voice, or even how to find that voice inside. We're trying to find those people to anchor and light around so that we can all just continue to vibrate higher and hold each other in that space. Because as you start vibrating higher, it can feel uncomfortable because you're actually vibrating off the dense realities that we've clung on to because those feel safe and secure. They oftentimes are stuff rooted in our past and our childhood that feel safe, but they aren't very healthy. So you need people around you that are going to hold that frequency with you so that when you do lapse, which we all do, you can be like, okay, this is my resonant field that I'm going back into. So you have someone to hold that. And so that's what we're creating right now. So we have, where's the book? We have a book club that we're starting. And it's this is the first book that we're doing. Crystal Stars 1111. So you can find it, and on the Instagram on Creekside and on Dr. Melinda Phoenix and Scarlet Ravin, our channels talk about the book club a little bit, but it's about to start, so you need to order your book. But our goal is for people to come together and be able to resonate and have references to look into, and then also again have this platform of people that can help anchor in what's happening on the planet because it's really big and juicy and wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I just want to say one more thing that Melinda kind of reminded me of is these relationships that are more about soul medicine and true love and like kind of co-creating worlds, they can be very uncomfortable. And so when you're really starting to sink in with these different ways of relating, it's really helpful to not have what you think a relationship should look like over what you're experiencing, because my experience of having all of this light reignite through my body, physically very uncomfortable. Some days I feel like I'm being electrocuted for like 10 hours. Other days I'm so tired I can't move. And I'm really just feeling my systems oscillate and come into a state of harmony. And it's like to have the awareness of you don't put that on the other person. That's not about the other person doing something to you. That's not because of the relationship. That's because your soul has chosen to open up to these new levels of vibration, and the other person is holding space for you to do so. Mm-hmm. So that was a big insight for me of be open to what's happening and be the witness.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. So thanks, Scarlett, for coming down to Creekside so we can play. Now we're going to play with vision boards and get more clear on the work we're doing right now together. And yeah, so book club is happening soon. PM me or Scarlett to get into the club. We're doing a WhatsApp group for now, and then we'll turn it into some big thing later. We're both the same, where we turn everything into really giant things. So we're trying to figure out pacing ourselves on these different projects and seeing which ones want to go big. Boom. So in this book are these mandalas too that you can put on your wall.
Yeah, I'm just giving you some teasers of the activations.
Yeah, and each chapter has to do with a different stone as well. So you can also order the stones and like hold the stone as you're working with the chapter. But some of the topics in the beginning are like, what's a light worker? What's a star seed? What's an alien? What's different planetary alignments? What are these stones?
Yeah. Why do we have feet? It's not in there, but
yeah. So anyway, yeah.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. See you next time.
Bye.